Hello, hello. What's up? What's up? It is a new day, it is a new week, and it's time to get social. My name is Kayvana, and welcome to the Introvert's Social Hour. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Introvert Social Hour. Today, we're talking about chasing dreams, navigating the path less taken. It's titled this way specifically because there are a lot of people who kind of give up on their dreams with the idea of like realism, for lack of a better word. This idea that, they can just make a living. They're going to go for the job that pays the most and they kind of give up on what makes them happy. And so, we're talking about that today. Today, I brought on my friend Jassimran. Jassimran was here last season, so I'm welcoming Jassimran back. Jassimran is an artist and illustrator, so we're both in creative fields, and we're going to talk about what that looks like, deciding to chase our dreams and our passions instead of taking the roads that are less taken. Welcome, Jassimran. How are you today?
Hey, I'm better now that I'm talking to you.
Wow, I feel special. um, well, I did want to let's talk about and kind of jump into what would you say is your like dream job? And then when did you realize you wanted to pursue that dream job? So even though I know you say like, okay, I'm an artist, I'm an illustrator, what is that dream job? Even if it has a dream location specifically, and what made you say I'm gonna go for it?
It's funny because it's continuously like morphing throughout the years where I'm learning more and more new skills and picking up stuff and actually learning more about what I didn't even know was out there or even possible. But I remember um stemming from high school, I just wanted to be an artist. At that time, I was like, oh, I wanted to be a fine artist and be painting all the time because I loved to paint.
Mm,
And everyone was like, dude, you should go for it. Like, just go for it. And I was like, well, how am I gonna make money? Because unfortunately, we live in a capitalized society and
mhm,
I need to make money. So combining what I love to do and what I'm trying to live for,
mhm,
I have to live with the cost of living, especially here in the Bay.
uh,
And you know, following my passions. What do you do? Well, that's where I came upon animation, the animation industry. So when I was in high school, I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. That's where I'm gonna focus on. So yeah, I would say that would be the breaking point of or like the breakthrough
mhm,
of when I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Was and then that's when I started applying to colleges. It was about senior year. I was
mhm,
like, what did I want to do? And the thing is, I actually applied to multiple colleges, but I also applied in multiple fields. So I did like computer science at one university, illustration at one university, graphic design at another university. I tried to do marine biology at like San Francisco State, but
okay.
I could not find that. Like, I didn't know how to fill out the application or something. I
Okay.
don't know, it didn't allow me to. I didn't
Mm,
understand it, but I was like, "Ah, it's whatever." I got it in for computer science, though.
okay.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah, because I like so many different things. So honing in on something was definitely a struggle.
Mhm,
But yeah, my first choice was USC, but I didn't get into that. So it's okay. But my first choice in the colleges I did get into was San Jose State in the animation illustration program. And I knew that was where I was going to excel in because I know how the um community is and
mhm,
how well built and well known, like everybody knows everybody in the animation industry. It's a
mhm,
very small community. And I knew that there were so many alumni from that
Mm,
university that like it is one of the best programs like in the States. Or yeah, I think it's in North America. It's definitely well known.
mm,
Um, there was actually like no other state university because UCs are more research based, right? Yeah, and then you state universities were more skill based. So there's not really too much of a point for me to go to a UC, um, you know, in the field of study I was doing.
mm,
But yeah, like the only major, like San Jose State is like the only state university in California that has that specific major. Like I was gonna go to Long Beach and they as
mm.
an illustrator, but they had like a minor in animation, but it's not like this. Like this is it. This is your main
Yeah.
focus. So
So
yeah,
like
luckily,
subdivisions, like having that specificity, they were missing it.
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
So it wasn't like I knew like the curriculum wouldn't be as strong as it would be at San Jose State. And I was like, dude, I need to get into this. Luckily, I had a 3.8 GPA from all throughout high school, and I barely cut it because it is really hard to get into.
mm,
I
mm.
I barely made it, I think. Kind of helped that I lived in the Bay Area, I think.
For sure. Yeah, they're like close proximity. That's a good one. Um,
Yeah.
I do have a question with that. So, out of curiosity, did you let your college acceptances kind of choose your path? Was it like wherever or like so what made you decide like to so you're applying for like marine biology, cognitive science. What made you decide to apply for those even though you knew what you wanted to do?
Just like backup. Because I mean,
Mm,
I just wanted to give myself options because that was like December of 2015. So December, like midway of senior year. And
mm,
then towards the end, when we got accepted into things, I was like, if I didn't make it into San Jose State, I would probably gonna go to a different line because I was like, that's where I would be successful in that. And then so I'm like, well, if that doesn't go through, then I probably would have chose something else. Something I wish I also, well, I'm not saying like I regret it, but something that I always like loved was like forensic science.
mm, mm,
But I didn't even think about studying that because, well, I always wanted to be a detective too, but that's
mm.
too dangerous of a line to get
It's a
into.
bit intense, yeah. And there's like levels to that too. From what I know, you have to like I think you need to be a police officer first before you even become a detective
Yeah, Brooklyn
as
Nine-Nine.
well. Yeah, I was like, according to my TV studies. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
I love that shit. But yeah, no, I was like, this my gut was telling me to go in this direction. And also a lot of influences, including my art teacher. My parents believed in me,
Mm.
and a lot of people did. And they're like, yeah, you can do it. You can be successful in it. I was like, shoot, maybe I
Yeah.
can.
Hmm. For sure, for sure. I'm looking, I mean, I don't know if you've drawn everything that's on your wall, but I've seen your art at this point. I mean, you've been arting for a long time, most of the time since I've known you. So, no, you're a talented human being. So I'm
Thanks.
glad you did that. And I'm glad you got into San Jose because who's to say where your path would have been? Maybe you would have been a detective or a marine biologist, who knows? But that's good to know, like when you decide I'm gonna at least pursue it and see what happens and like the willingness to try instead of automatically doubt yourself. I am curious, did you know before you decided to go into it for college that it would be a difficult career path? Did you accept that knowing like I wanted to do this, I'm okay with going the hard route?
Yeah, yeah. I had some doubts, but I don't know, especially getting into like freshman year, being amongst my environment. Everybody in my major it's a community, so everybody supports each other. But at the end of the day, we're all kind of going for the same jobs, and it is very, very small opportunity because everyone has their own concentration and everything. Um, Very, very small opportunity. And then when I got to university, because I mean, I was really like happy, like where I was at in high school, and I was like, oh yeah, okay. My confidence was a little good, and then I got to college, and then I was like, but like
Mhm.
I am a tadpole again. I mean, I was always thinking like, oh bro, like I don't know. I don't see what other people see
Mhm.
because everyone's always telling me like, hey, like, whoa, you're so good. And I'm like, bro, like, nah, I can do better. I can do better than that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then when I hit college, like, dude, these people were so good. Like my peers, they're so good. I was like, damn, I wish I was on that level. And they've been doing this for years as well. Like
Mhm.
I started drawing in middle school, like for fun a lot. That's when I
Mhm.
picked up like the hobby, I would say. I mean,
Mhm.
everybody's drawing when they're like a kid or whatever, in the doodles and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I like intentionally started drawing, I would say, in middle school. But then, yeah, college, man. Um, this day and age, digital art is where it's at, right?
Mhm.
And so my whole life, growing up, like, we grew up in Hayward. We didn't have like, we didn't have like, we didn't have the resources for digital art.
Yeah.
We didn't really use Illustrator, Photoshop. We couldn't paint digitally.
I was like, where was there an option? I was on Microsoft Paint at best on our old computers
At
at the
best, yeah.
library.
No, we didn't have drawing tablets and
Mm.
stuff. But people I went to school with, like they had drawing tablets since they were in middle school. Like I know someone that was drawing on a tablet since they were in seventh grade. And I was
Mhm.
like, fuck, dude. I didn't even have a tablet. I'm a
Mhm.
traditional artist. I came in as a traditional artist when most of these people came in as like digital artists and
Mhm.
traditional artists. But some people just did digital, and there are pros and cons to both. But
Yeah.
our first year and a half, no, wait, no, yeah, first year was mostly traditional, and that's where I excelled.
Mhm.
And then the second semester of college was the first time I painted in Photoshop. We didn't even touch digital till later. And it's so crazy to say that. Like, because people these days, especially like the young ones, everybody has like iPads to draw on and shit. Procreate came out when I
Mhm.
was in college. And it's like, it's crazy to say that when I sound old, but everybody has more access, has more access to
Yeah.
drawing digitally.
Mhm.
Like anybody can do it now. Like,
Yeah.
and it's crazy because I didn't have that opportunity. I didn't have an iPad. I didn't have any drawing tablet. I was like,
Mhm.
"Fuck." I was like, oh my God, I am so behind. And then that's what motivated me to get even like I was just like, I gotta work. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. I gotta work harder. I gotta work harder than the people who had the experience behind them, which also led to a lot of different issues.
Yeah. Mhm.
A little spiral.
Yeah. I think that's the difficulty of like that's why it's easier said than done, of course, of trying not to compare yourself to other people, especially in creative fields.
Hmm.
In regards to
Hmm.
continuing that path, though, what has kept you on your this path for eventually being in animation? What has made you not just decide to just go for the more conventional route, um, or the more, as people say, like financially stable career path? What has made you stick to it?
I don't know. I think, even like some professors were like kind of doubtful about me. So they were like, "Oh, I don't know," because I couldn't sometimes I couldn't keep up because I had like health issues, personal issues, like all that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't keep up with everyone sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so but I still pushed through it because I knew deep down I'm like I can do it. I can do it. Like, I'm not gonna give up. I'm not a quitter. I
Yeah.
started it. I'm gonna finish this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because we started out with like a little over 200 people freshman year. And mind you, it's a 5-year program because it's
Hmm.
like our last year is a thesis year. So, so 4 years plus a thesis year for a BFA. This is
Got it.
BFA in animation. And so we started out with a little over 200. And then we ended up, my graduating class in BFA was like 50, 50-ish.
Wow.
Yeah. So like 75% of the class like either dropped
Mm-hmm.
or they changed fields. Some people unfortunately couldn't pass their portfolios
Mm-hmm.
because there was a portfolio review in our second year. Um yeah, it was difficult. Like seeing people drop around you also doesn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess that's what made me keep going because I was like, okay, I gotta keep going. Like, it's like it doesn't matter like what's happening around you, you just gotta keep going. I was just focusing on myself. I was like, dude, I know I have the potential to do this. A lot of, I had like a lot of professors too that believed in me. They're like, dude, you have potential. And then, yeah, a lot of professors were hard. More like most professors were really hard on everybody because they just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to show you that they wanted to prove, like, hey, you got the potential, but I'm going to push you to that. I'm going to push you to your limit. I'm going to push you beyond your limit. And
Mm-hmm.
then that, I mean, that's where a lot of people's mental health got really affected, which is another reason why people dropped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even being like 3 years into a program, I knew someone that was like, it's not worth my mental health because
Yeah.
they push you damn hard, dude.
Yeah, no,
uh,
I remember you had a lot of when we would do our catch-ups, like the things that you had to do for assignments alone. I was like, college? Um, so but you made it, so that's good. Um, I am curious if you had any like fears or doubts that you had to overcome when making the decision to chase your dreams. So I know in this process you said you did have some doubts when it came to comparing yourselves to others and stuff, but before you really went for it, did you have any fears prior?
you mean like before I started college?
Hmm. Or did you just came in with the teenage confidence like no other?
I, well, I think I'm always gonna have doubts. It's good to have doubts.
Mm-hmm.
So like there are different paths in life, and it's like you have to question it so like this is what I'm gonna do. You can be more confident in your decision if you question it, if you think about it.
Yeah. Hmm. But
Because
did
if
you
you're
have like,
question
oh, sorry,
oh
go ahead.
sorry. No,
No,
what
go
were you
ahead.
saying?
I was just gonna say, like, within that though, like, were you scared of deciding that path, knowing that there is a sense of unknown, like a sense of uncertainty? Because I know for me, like, when I officially decided to do dance, I knew I was going into a place where there was no guarantee that it would work out. I
Mm,
knew that I was going to a place where I wasn't aiming for financial stability when I first started out. Like, no one's like, I'm gonna
hmm
do dance and I'm gonna be making a whole bunch of money. Like most dancers don't, unless they're like become like really well known. Um, so like when you went into it, knowing the paths and the ups and downs you have to take, were those the kind of fears you had in place? I know obviously like once again, these are teen years we're talking about. You kind of knew your path pretty early on. Um, but did you have any fears at all?
Honestly, I think was pretty damn confident in my
Yeah,
I
that's
think
good.
I was like, bro, I'm gonna do it. I think what really made me confident was going to, man, wow, this is actually so long ago. um, Crazy to think about it. I remember, I want to say, I don't even remember the name of the day. I want to say Spartan Day. So, like,
Mm,
those days where you can go visit the college before you enter.
yeah.
Admission days.
Mhm.
Admission. So I went to San Jose State and it was like a beautiful sunny day. I remember it.
Mhm.
And like, so all the majors were having like their presentations and stuff. And I remember walking into the classroom where they were doing the presentation for animation illustration, like for my major. And because I did get in, so it's like, oh, this is what's your future is gonna look like. And then, dude, I think that's where I was like, yep, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm like, I'm gonna do this.
Mhm.
And like, I'm not gonna give up. Mm. Cause I was, cause a lot of people do end up changing their majors throughout college, but I was like, nah,
Yeah.
I don't need
You
to
were
change it.
determined.
I was damn determined.
Mhm.
I was
That's
very ambitious about it. I was like, I can do this. I think I believed in my potential. And I think I still do, even though it faltered a lot.
Mhm.
There was a lot of ups and downs, but I think I
So
went in. Sorry.
I was gonna say, so would you say that you still have that determination, you still have that belief? Um, were there any fears that came up along the way that made those falters happen?
A lot.
Okay. Mhm.
A lot, especially when some professors are like, yeah, not, you're basically making me feel like I was like the weakest link in the class.
Mhm.
Like I also like yeah, there was a lot of road bumps.
Yeah, road bumps,
Yeah.
roadblocks, same thing.
No,
Whichever
yeah,
one.
there was a lot. There was yes. Like I don't think I went a month without something being thrown at me. I was like, like I don't know, you're not gonna be able to do this. You're not gonna be able to do this, especially when COVID hit. Oh Lord. Um
Yeah.
yeah, like studios shut down and like my internship opportunities were like when I needed it, like the
Mhm.
time for me, the summer, the one summer, even though I had like a few summers because I was 5 years, but dude, like I didn't know. I was like learning along the way of what I needed to do, and now I
Mhm.
know better. Like you always learn like after the time period happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the summer, I was supposed to do internships. Like all the studios shut down, no internships were happening, and I was like, I had to graduate in COVID. That really affected my chances on top of that. But on the bright side of shit, like I literally worked really hard. So I think what kept my confidence going was gaining my skills. I was just like, even if I didn't get into exactly what I wanted to do, I
Hmm.
had so many skills. I have so many skills. Like I was just training. To me, it was just training. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to apply everything. You can't, your destination is not going to be where you want it to be. And your journey is not going to be how you imagine it. And in my head, I think I kept that in mind. I was like, okay, I have no idea how this is going to go down. But what I can control is what I'm taking in, what information I'm taking in, and how I'm taking it in. Because a lot of people that I went to school with, like, I noticed that, like, people didn't want to really go to classes, or they wanted to cheat their way or whatnot. I literally, like, I signed up for classes that I wanted to learn. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, this sounds like fun. I love learning. So it was kind of easy for me to be like, okay, my mindset, I'm just here to learn. I'm here to train. Like, that's probably what kept me going too. Like, I'm just here to learn. I'm here to train. My skills, and that's another reason why I pushed myself. I was like, bro, my skills are like, and I look back at it, and even though it was really freaking hard
Hmm.
on my mental health, physical health, or whatnot, or like even like my struggles, I had a lot of bad times. It was, I have no regrets,
Hmm.
like no regrets, because I learned so much. I learned
Yeah.
so much in such a little time. Like, I'm actually like happy that I went through those struggles.
Hmm. Because you came out at the end, you came out stronger,
Mm-hmm.
more skilled, and you
Mm-hmm.
could apply those things to jobs when they're ready for you.
Yeah,
I see that.
exactly.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like even right now, I'm still applying that. It's the principle.
Hmm.
It's it's like it's like taking those skills and like breaking it down. But the thing is, once you break it down into like these simple blocks and the foundations, you can apply it to different things.
Mm. Can you give me like an example, like two examples of what could be applied? So you went into a very specific major, but what other jobs could that also be applied to that would technically be quote unquote like out of your major's job category?
Okay, so yeah, jumping to right now.
Mm.
I mean, I graduated in 20 May 2021. Um, I applied like crazy. That was literally COVID. Recession happened this last year. I was unemployed for a very long time. And then like I applied like crazy, and unfortunately in the animation industry, um once you hit like 6 months past graduation, um your opportunities for internship like cut off. Like
Mhm.
like that's the cutoff 6 months after graduation. And then so you better have a damn good portfolio to, you know?
Yeah, ready to go.
Yeah, but the thing is like I didn't have enough time because I didn't really think about that, or like I didn't really know
Mm.
about that. And then there's some only like I'd say like some internships available within a year of graduation, but after that, it's done, dude. Like you're gonna have to figure it out. There's some trainee programs, but it's like super competitive, especially
Mm.
when everybody started having so much access to like iPads and started drawing and all this
Hmm.
stuff during COVID time,
That,
it
yeah.
competition like grew and I wasn't expecting that, I'm just rolling with the punches.
Yeah. I'm surprised though that it seemed like a lot of them were talking about skill, but no one like set you up for career.
Yep.
Like as far as your professors go. Like I'm surprised no one was like, "Hey, this is how you get yourself ready. You're in your thesis year. These
Well,
are what you need to have prepared." Like what did they do to prepare you if I'm wrong on that?
I would say they did. I mean, they basically the whole time were preparing us to what to expect or over prepare us to what to expect in the industry to because I do have friends in the industry and they're like, dude, like that was another type of intensity. It's not as intense in your actual job.
Mm,
Like when you do the job, when you get a job in the industry, it's not as intense as we studied.
mm.
Um, yeah. So
So what about when it
like,
came to like you not knowing to be ready for certain internships or you not knowing what the internships were looking for? Like, did they not give you like a heads up on those things? I'm just curious about that.
see, that's the thing. Like they started telling us more about it like towards the end. Like I think I had to ask a lot of questions like, oh, like resume. We touched up on resumes and like business cards and like website, like our portfolio website. I feel like we could talk more about strategy,
Mm,
like but maybe that was just me. I don't know. We were basically, yeah, creating a portfolio. Um,
mm,
I don't know. I think I asked a lot of questions though, because I'm just a person that asks a lot of questions.
mm,
Um, but yeah, no, I don't know. It was a little more difficult. Yeah, like towards the end is when we started learning. Like probably last year, our last year was when we're really focused on, okay, now I got to focus on the job. The or
mm,
last year and a half. It was like, yeah, I was like, I don't know. I feel like I wasn't completely prepared, but I don't know. It could just be me. Damn, that was kind of a while ago.
No, you're good. Time has been moving fast. In
Yeah.
re in regards to your decision and going into animation, um, this is something I wonder too, like because I feel like we are in different creative paths, but we're in similar like journeys when it comes to being in a place where we're not exactly where
We
our
imagine.
dream job is. Yeah, exactly. But we're still on that journey and we're still on that pathway. So even though we don't have that job just yet, um, what part of this journey of following your passions, um, how does it impact your overall well-being and happiness? So and the reason why I ask that is because for me, it could be a pro and a con sometimes. For
Mm-hmm.
me, the pro is I obviously enjoy it. I love dancing. When I take dance classes, it makes me happy. But in equal like space, I could take a dance class one day and feel like crap because it wasn't the best experience. I got in my head, I compared myself to people, or I go into an audition room and it's not the best experience. So there's pros and cons. But at the end of the day, I know I still love dance. So it does bring me an over overall sense of well-being and joy. But there comes those general challenges. I know that you talked about you experience in college of learning and growing and developing, and those come with hardships as you grow.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
has.
everything.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, to all of the above. So going back to having the skills and the the blocks, like the foundations we were talking about, how to apply it to different things. Um, right now, I'm not in that spot. Um, and it took me, I don't know, maybe a few years to accept that. Um, it's not gonna happen right away. And I've accepted that I want to work on my portfolio more. But right now, also applying passions to realistic, like ideal situations where I am how many years old? 25. And right now, I not only want to support myself, but I want to support my family. And so, like, I've come to a point where I just like have to switch paths for now. It doesn't mean like it's the end of the world.
Hmm.
Like I was saying earlier too, like we don't know our journeys, we don't know our destinations.
Hmm.
And we're just gonna have to go with the flow. Like I can't be upset about me not I can't control. I can't
Hmm.
control life. I can't control the recession. I can't control all of this. I can't control not getting a job. I can only do my best to get to that point. And that's
Hmm.
all I can do. I've been through a lot of therapy
Yeah. Yeah.
to understand that concept. And so, actually, in December, I started taking courses for UX UI design. And that's the cool thing is because I took those skills and I'm not thinking it's a waste of time. Because some people approach me and they're like, what are you like? Well, I'm gonna say some people approached me, but you know, there became some doubts. I remember my mom kind of doubted, like, oh, you spent 5 years doing this, and what are you doing? Like with that now. And I'm like, I get it. And some people are like, if you compare me to them, because there's so many people that got like quote unquote big girl, big boy jobs at this point.
Hmm.
And right now I'm just working part-time. Um, and now I'm taking classes part-time for UX UI design. But I'm not starting from zero. I have so many skills under my belt that I've been applying to that job because I'm designing websites. I built my own website in like Squarespace. I have the design skills.
We're
I
gonna
know
plug
my
the
design.
website. Check out the website. I'm just gonna plug check out the website
Oh yeah, yeah,
in the description.
jassimran.com. Yeah,
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 I'll drop
yeah.
it in the description.
First name, last name.com.
Yeah.
Because I'm so creative.
That's how you're found easily, though. Keep it simple.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right.
Hmm.
Sweet and simple. Um, but yeah, I've accepted that. And that doesn't mean like, okay, like I just want a job because at this point, I want to be financially stable. And
Hmm.
it's a mixture of putting passions with being more realistic
Yeah.
and, financially stable in the Bay Area.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
that will definitely change some things. Let's be real.
Yeah. If
Or,
it makes you feel better, it's expensive like everywhere, unfortunately.
yeah,
Um,
after the pandemic.
yeah, it's like everything just kind of went up and they were like, there's no such thing as down now.
No,
Um,
literally.
which is so interesting. But yeah, to be fair, I think I'm glad you found that space because we got hit with a few things. One, pandemic. We've never really lived through like a pandemic like that, not as intensely. Like swine
Mm-mm.
flu was big, but it wasn't as big as COVID. And also we were kids. We got hit in the midst of our like life-changing time period of actually forming into adulthood. Um, and then on top of that, things got intensely expensive and um
Oh my God.
that came out of the nowhere
Yes.
too. The job market's trash right now. That's another thing. So we just have a lot betting against us. But I think what's important is I think we have like this passion. It's very obvious. Like it's not just determination. Like we're very certain. Like I refuse to settle. Like, and I don't think you're
Mm-hmm.
settling, which is why I'm glad you said that. Like, you getting a job, that's not related necessarily to animation is not you settling. It's you, you're still working on that stuff, as you said. You're still taking your UX, EY classes, but you're also just making sure you have a paycheck, and that's perfectly fine. Me,
Mm-hmm.
when I first moved out here, I was a science teacher. That wasn't me settling. It was just me taking my steps in order to get to that next destination. Wanted to be in New York. I wanted to be able to have accessibility to dance classes for adults. Didn't really have that in the Bay as much. Like, and when I say the Bay, I'm talking about East Bay. I'm not an SF girly like that. So I know there are like classes and stuff out there, but I can count probably on my both hands how many times I've actually been to San Francisco. Um, and then I just I just knew I was like, I'm willing to do this in order to have this. Like you said, balancing that realism with the passion. And it has to, unfortunately, there is a weird balance there. Here I am now, I'm still a dance teacher. My goals for myself now are I don't want to be a dance teacher, 9 to 5 dance teacher. And I work more than 9 to 5. If I'm gonna dance teach, I would rather go back to how it was when I was still in the Bay, where I was able to do like part-time classes and then balance out somewhere else. Um, if I pivot, I'm pivoting for financial stability and I'm not fully pivoting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still very much taking dance classes, participating in dance things, but now the benefit is I'll be able to afford them more and be able to afford
Mm-hmm.
these programs and things like that because that's where I struggle a bit now is while being a dance teacher, I get to dance and I still get to be creative. Teachers, I mean, there's no surprise there, don't get paid that well in the United States. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm fighting for my creativity to extend outside of my job. But then my job takes up my time, things like that. So it's just like a hard balance. As we said, the key word here is balance and finding that balance. Um, but I think the overall message of this is that we have a passion for it, we have a joy for it, and that is our goal in life to be joyful in what we do, while also eventually being financially stable in what we do.
Yeah. I mean, dude, honestly, if you think about it, our parents did this too. Like, everybody, like, can't do exactly what they do, but I feel like we're still not gonna settle. Someone has to do some job. Like, not everyone can
Mhm.
just do what they want, and that's a fact. Um, but dude, yeah, like I think I'm not making the wrong decision. I'm making a smart decision
Mhm.
with a pivot, and I've accepted that because it's like, dude, honestly, it could be even better this way because I can make more money. I can be financially stable. And I thought about it on my off time. I can just probably make an Etsy shop and paint whatever I want and like
Yeah.
sell whatever I want without having to put it like make it for companies. And you know what?
Mhm.
I still do would love to work on a Scooby-Doo show for Warner Brothers,
Ooh, okay.
like background painting or something, you know, and that is still one of my dreams.
Mhm.
So, but I can always, I mean, like it's not the end of the world if I do it right now. I learned that, dude, we're still so young, and there's not a day where you're not learning. I mean, if you're
Mhm.
not learning a day, I think you're wasting your time.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, like we're absorbing information and we're carving ourselves out. Like you're not gonna be perfect, right? Like that. You can't be perfect overnight. Like it's you're never gonna be perfect
Mhm.
because like we're constantly growing. Even when we're in our 80s and stuff,
Yeah.
it's like, dude, like you're just gonna become more of who you are and you're gonna learn more about the world. And you have so much time to get there. Haven't they said there's like how long did it take for Vera Wang to like get to that spot where she just like blew up in
blew
her
up.
fashion.
Yeah.
There's
I
so
don't know
many
the
people.
years, but there's a lot of people. But so I'll fill in some examples before I go to what I was gonna say. I always think of Viola Davis, like she's number one.
Mm,
We have never seen a time of Viola Davis pop off when she was in her 20s or 30s. She didn't pop off, I think, until 40s. And if it was 30s, late 30s, mid 30s, somewhere around there, it wasn't early. Um, I think of a lot of people, Tabitha Brown, like she popped off. One of her kids is already out the house. So I just think about those. But I think what's super important are those are people who like didn't give up. Um, and I think not
mm-hmm.
necessarily give up, but there is a thing that
Clap.
happens, and I've noticed it that I kind of disagree in a sense where I don't think that was something my mom did. I think and she knows this is not me. Like she went with something that was able to provide for her family, that was able to get her a job, get her the best ideas in mind. sh- I'm pretty sure if she had a different choice in a job, she would do it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um I know many people who stick to their jobs just because it was what happened and it pays them well and it's what works. And I think I know for me right now, and I think pretty much extended, I don't see myself staying in places where I know I am not happy, even if it does pay. But
Mm-hmm.
that was always one of my fears when it came to that, when talking to family members and stuff. Like they would say, go for what you want, go for your passions, go for your dreams, because you don't want to be stuck in places that you are unhappy. And I think that was my biggest journey for going after what I wanted. I knew I didn't want to be unhappy in whatever I decided. Um, when it came to officially deciding to do dance, it was after, might I add, I was already 3 years into my major. I did a research um, internship with the VA at UC San Diego, and I realized, yeah, I didn't like research. I was like, this ain't it. This is incredibly boring. Um, and then I realized I was like, if I want to do my PhD, this is going to be at least 6 more years of this. And I was like,
Ah,
I
I
can't do
remember.
that. Yeah. And so I officially decided, I was like, I've always found my way back to dance. Am I America's best dancer? No, but I know I enjoy it. I know I love it. And I know like with time growth that I can keep extending and keep going for it. And so I was already I was doing my dance minor at that time. And I just decided, I was like, it's going to be a minor and it's going to stay a minor, but I'm going to try to develop a little bit more. And might I add, I was
Mm-hmm.
already doing like organization, like musicals and stuff. And once again, taking dance classes, but it wasn't my major
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. And so that was when I decided to do it. And it wasn't necessarily easy decision because it was a scary one for me. So that's why I asked about like what the fears were in that. But to be fair, I was asking you in a sense of like high school Jassimran, and for me at this point, this was almost graduating from college Kavana. And I was like, what the heck does life? I was excited, but also scared. Like, oh, the possibilities. I could be in LA or I could be in New York. And
Yeah.
what does that look like? I know it's freaking expensive in both of those places, but those are where the opportunities are. I could be taking dance classes and figuring out that path. At the time, I was trying to figure out if I wanted to do conservatory or commercial. And I think the idea of doing both, I'm completely still open to. If I try to keep myself a little bit mixed, or even do like musicals, things like that. Um, but yeah, I just always go back to that idea of like I refuse to live a life just to make money. I hate that I
Mm-hmm.
need money actually, because
Yeah.
if I didn't need it, then there'd be just so many more open pathways of things. And but I'm definitely all about joy. And
Right.
if I'm gonna spend majority of my time somewhere, which we do as Americans, unfortunately, spend the majority of our time at work, I should enjoy it. I should enjoy the people I'm around. I should enjoy
Exactly.
what I'm doing, etc. And that was the decision I made in college, that I was like, if I know this isn't it, then it's a no. Um, was I willing to pivot? Obviously, not fully pivot, but like take jobs in science or take jobs in like cognitive science, psychology, things like that. Yes. But
Hmm.
plot twist of the century, when we graduated during COVID anyways, there weren't a lot of jobs for that either. So it really
Mm,
didn't matter.
mm-mm,
And just so the opportunity presented itself, and I'm here. And while what I acknowledge for my side of it is that there's so many people who want to be dancers, so many people who are great dancers. And it's not even the fight of are you a great dancer? It's a lot of overlapping things of do you fit the part? Do you fit the image that the people want? Um, are you a good person to work with? Who do you know? Who knows who
mm-hmm,
in what industry of things? And so that's just the battle that I always fight. But um I think that I with that idea of the Viola Davises and the Vera Wings and all of those people, I know that eventually the time will come, and at least I'm starting now versus like I didn't want to live with regrets, you know.
mm-hmm.
That was my biggest thing.
No, yeah, I completely agree. I think before I was like straight shooter. I was like, nope, here's the plan. I'm gonna graduate. I'm gonna make sure. I'm gonna just focus. I'm gonna get this job, and that's that. But then, life happens, and I watched a lot of TED Talks.
Valid.
And there's this one TED Talk that explains like Albert Einstein, he did multiple like researches at one time. Like they overlapped. They can
Mhm,
overlap. He started one and then I don't know, like he during that he started another one. And then during that whole process of two researches, he started another one.
mhm,
They ended at different times, but still, you can do multiple things to get where you want. But the thing is, the destination or the end time of one thing was different. So, what I'm trying to say is like, okay, if I'm doing these classes now, I can start an Etsy shop. And then that's its own journey. I can do both at the same time because if I really wanted it, it's gonna happen.
true.
Manifestation, dude. If I really
Hmm.
wanted it, it'll happen.
Yeah,
No doubt. And because if you really want something, you're gonna find a way. You could just
exactly.
find a way. It's
Hmm.
gonna just happen to you. It's like maybe I'm a little agnostic, but I just feel like it'll happen if you go towards that. If you work towards it, little progress,
Yeah.
it'll get to you. Like, yeah, it's just a good reminder. Like, hey, don't lose your thing because you can't just jump to it.
Hmm.
Like, don't lose your ambition because you're not gonna jump to it. Like, that's not possible. Especially in art and the creative field. That shit doesn't happen overnight. It
Mm-mm.
really does. Yo, I gave myself like little exercises like recently after studying or during the time I've been studying UX UI design. I went back to what did I want to draw? Not what other people assigned for me. What did I want to do? And I just drawing and doing studies on my iPad or my Wacom tablet. And
Hmm.
dude, oh my God. Like I take that and I look back, I take that piece and I look back at my other pieces like years ago.
Hmm.
Maybe not even years ago, like a few years ago. And I'm like, like I was like, dude, like there's such a big difference. There's just such a difference. See, going forward, you can't really see your progress, but looking back, you can be
Hmm.
like, you can take that, you're like, hey, I did so much progress and keep that in mind for the future. It's like if I just keep going, I'll just get better. So that's another thing to like not give up. I'll
Yeah.
just get better. It's a mindset, man.
Hmm. And when you're ready, then that's your time. I also think sometimes too, like in a way, like sometimes you're not as ready as you think you are for what you want. Like,
Hmm.
so maybe that thing is being held off because you just need more time to be ready. And
Yeah.
I think of that for myself as well. Like, if I would have gotten like a dance job, like somehow in like 2021, 2022, I probably wouldn't have been as solid. And I've learned so much over these past 2 years, that become like super important to my continuation and just figure things out. And I know in the next 2 years, I'll keep learning, even with more experience, more jobs, more networking, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's important. Yeah.
No, it's completely important. Like
Hmm.
breaking down with our whole conversation, like, dude, like it's all about mindset. Like this whole thing about why did you not give up on your passion or whatnot? It's like literally mindset. The last few years, I'm actually glad I focused on like my mental health,
Hmm.
like because I knew college kind of destroyed it, but I knew that what's most important to start with is your mindset. And honestly, if you change your mindset, you can really achieve anything. Like, like for me, I probably would have gave up. Maybe I mean I'm not a quitter, but I feel like it would have been harder. And I'm kind of glad I took like a few years. I'm glad I had this time before hopping into the industry because honestly, that could have been a mess. I feel like I wasn't ready. I feel
Hmm.
like I like accepted like, hey, I'm actually glad I went this route because I feel like I wouldn't have been ready. Honestly, I would have probably been a real wreck.
Hmm.
But focusing on my mindset, dude, I'm ready. Like I'm ready for like shit to come my way. I'm just
Yeah.
ready. I'm just ready for that path where I'm like, okay. And if it doesn't happen, okay, cool. I'm just looking on the brighter side because you
Hmm.
can't just spend your whole life thinking like dragging yourself down. I think that's like the main focus, which is also helping the drive and your passions. You can't drag yourself down. If
Yeah.
you drag yourself down, you're the only person that'll drag
True.
yourself down.
Hmm. That's true. I've learned along the way. I'm still learning. Like even though there's things I think I've combated, there's little details that are still there. I'm like, I haven't fully combated all the way. Um, but that's what the growth journey is about, right? Um,
Hmm.
Before we wrap up, I did want to ask, um, reflecting on your most valuable lessons you've learned on your journey to chasing your dreams, what kind of advice could you give to people who are contemplating taking that leap to pursue theirs?
Yeah, just have that mindset. Like, yeah, basically, like,
Mhm.
you just have to keep believing in yourself. And if it doesn't go the way you imagine it, because you know what? It might go the way you imagine it, but also it might not. But don't let that hinder on your dreams because if you really want it, like it'll happen. It might, so it might be a straight shot, or you might just like waver, like a sine or a cosine
Mhm.
you could
Oh,
grab,
yeah,
or like you might just hinder off the road just a little bit, like an off path, but that doesn't mean you can't go back on it.
yeah.
Like, it's just something you got to think about. Like, hey, actually, I'm working with someone like my co-host or my co-worker that I work with closely. He is like 3 years younger than me in the same major that I was in. And
Wow.
yeah, so I told him like, oh, like this is he probably sees my path and was like, yeah, I didn't get into the animation industry. And after COVID, it is really hard. And we had this conversation where he was like, yeah, I I don't like he seemed like he had his doubts. And I was like, nah, dude, like, don't give up. Like, just don't give up because it can for sure happen. Like,
Yeah.
just keep, just keep going. Like, I know he's not. He's like, no, 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 I'm not gonna give up. And I'm like, good, and I'm gonna back you up on that. Because sometimes, like, even if you say you're not gonna give up, there is gonna be that doubt. You're
Hmm.
like that. Oh, I don't know. And I know he's not gonna give up. He works really hard, but I'm not gonna tell anybody not. You know what? Positive reinforcement is where I think is the best place you need to be in, the best environment. I
Okay.
feel like people thrive. I think that's like a big answer. So not only in your community, but you need positive reinforcement from yourself. And I think that's like the biggest thing. So do not bring down yourself with negative thoughts.
Mm. And I think the answer to that, what you said a little bit earlier, was that being able to reflect and look back and see your growth. I think it's so easy to look at what you haven't done. Uh, you forget the things that you have actually achieved. So um, I would say yes to all of that you said, and then just add on to that. Like, don't forget to like look back. Sometimes I look at old dance videos and I'm like, wow, ooh, but I wouldn't do that now. Like, it's better now. Just things like that, or like my creativity and choreography or things like that. So yeah. So definitely don't forget to do that. Look at your growth.
I just want to piggyback on one more thing on that.
Mhm.
It's like people look back in the past and think about all the bad things, all the bad decisions, and all this stuff. People don't look back at their past and see the progress
Mhm.
like that you've made. Like, of course, bad times are gonna happen. That's like everything we should accept. But honestly,
Yeah.
if you live life with no regrets, I feel like, and I've had this conversation a lot. Some people don't agree, but it's like if you live life with no regrets, even if you've made bad decisions, I believe like I have no regrets because even if I struggled or made bad decisions,
Mm. From them.
I
Yeah.
learned, and I grew from them. So it's
Hmm.
like if I regret something in the past, that decision is basically thinking like, hey, I didn't learn from it. I didn't accept what I did.
Mm.
You just have to accept and move on and work harder or think, make better decisions.
Yeah.
And that also helps for your future
Hmm.
and creates that mindset like, hey, I can do better. I'm gonna do better. Don't be hard on yourself
Hmm.
because you will either way if you
Yeah.
see your
True.
growth and focus on your growth.
Hmm. No, I 100% agree. I think if you dwell too much on your regret, like regretting things, it doesn't help with that positive reinforcement. So no, I agree. I There are things that I sit in right now I wouldn't take back, just like because once again, like you said, I've learned from them. Like at most stressful times, I've learned from them. I wouldn't take it back, even though I couldn't wait to get out of those situations. But it is what it is. Um, Thank you so much, Jassimran, for joining the podcast again and talking about this. It's a topic that I don't really get to talk about too much. Um, but I don't hear people talk about a lot, quite frankly. Like if I do talk about it, I talk about it with my friends. Um, but I see it in the world today. Like a lot of people just kind of let go and just end up very job focused, just working on just living because life is so freaking hard right now. And it does kind of make me sad. So I always think about that. I was just like, if you could do any job in the world, what would it be? And so for listeners, just think about that. Like if you could do anything right now and there were no limitations, what would you do? And um think about the path of how could you get there even right now in your current circumstances. If the current circumstance you're in is not bringing you joy, I definitely suggest trying to get there. Easier said than done, of course. I totally get it, but it's all about joy. We want to be able to live, not just work to live, and that's the goal. At some point, I know that's the goal for me for sure. But thank you for listening to the Introvert Social Hour. Share, like, and follow this podcast. Send it to a friend, a family member, a loved one. Follow me at Kayvon on Instagram and at the Introvert Social Hour on TikTok to get podcast updates. Make sure you look at the description because that has the details where you can follow Jassimran, check out her website, and at some point, maybe there'll be details on how to like get some of her artwork down the line. So definitely stay tuned and look out for that. Go ahead and follow so you could be updated on everything she's doing. Get some sunshine, get some air, have an amazing week. And I will see you next week on the Introvert Social Hour. Thanks for joining. Bye.